Hey, what's up? What's going on, my peeps, my peoples? Let's talk about Marriage Boot Camp, Man Overboard, Season 9, Episode 5. These people are too much. But did you guys hear about the doctors? They feel like Megan and DeAndre don't really have a relationship. They feel like it's always tension. It seems like something's going on. There's no passion. There's no love. There's no emotions other than hate or anger or aggression coming from Megan. And DeAndre is just sucking it up and taking it in. So we start off with the episode with Asifa and Bobby going into it. Go figure. They're going in at it. And basically they're arguing about the gym. Bobby getting the girl's number from the gym. This is still a hot subject for Asifa and she won't let it go. And they're arguing and Bobby says some real shit to, Asifa. He says to her, do you have any goals? Do you have anything in your life that you want to do? I was like, yo, Bobby, that's wrong. Why are you coming at her like that? And basically he's just trying to say, is there anything besides you being up my butt that you have any more goals, any more aspirations in your life? You know what, Bobby? Asifa aspiration is to be your wife and your baby mama. That's what she wants to be. And that's it. And she wants to know what's going on with the girl at the gym. That's what she wants to know. And then we get Kayla and Javi. They're fighting over custody, child support, money. Kayla's talking about 50-50. We got 50-50 custody. So why do you want child support? And basically, Javi's upset because he feels like, Kayla is going to bounce to Atlanta when she finished school. And he doesn't want his child to go to Atlanta, basically. That's how he's feeling. And he would take her for anything and everything. And he basically states the Delaware law is they divide our income and break it down the middle and see who makes more or what. And she's like, that's what you always talk about. You want to take my money. You want to take things from me. Javi goes, let's not get into it, because if I really want to take something from her, I'd take something from you. I'd take it all, baby. And, Kayla's upset about it. So she calls him a bitch. She calls him all different names. And then he says he's leaving. He's running away. He doesn't want to face the heat anymore. So he tries to leave. Kaylin goes downstairs and she tells Peter, she tells the other housemates. Peter goes, oh, I can't let my boy Javi leave because that's my dude. That's my people's. You know what I'm saying? And so Peter goes out to chase after Javi to find out what's going on. Javi was like, I want to leave. Every time me and Kayla have a conversation, we're always arguing. We can't get nothing across. He's just upset about it. And so, Bobby said, oh, Javi ain't going nowhere. He's stuck to, Kayla. And Peter's still outside trying to talk to, Javi, and Kayla basically is telling all the other housemates that, we just had a fight. He's a bitch. He's always up my ass. I wish he would move away. And Javi was like, well, tells, Peter that he wants to go to Guatemala. And he has his passport, so it is what it is. And so once I found out that, Javi is Guatemalan, I grew up around a lot of Guatemalans, when I was younger, and one of the communities that I lived in. And basically, most of the women that I grew up around that were Guatemalan were very servant, or very certitude, or very, they kind of like bow down to their husbands. Their husband bring home the bacon and they stay home. And, they don't argue. They don't fight with their husband. They don't disagree. Their husband's always right. The husband's friend's always right. And, and the males listen to other males about their relationship. From what I noticed, not saying all Guatemalan men are like this at all. So it really gives me the understanding of why he picked Kayla, because she is built like a Guatemalan woman. You know what I mean? So... but one Guatemalan woman that I knew when I was growing up, she was a teenager at the time, she wasn't taking none of it. She was a boss. She was the head BIC in charge. But so I do understand why Javi is so controlling and wants to have control over the situation, how Kayla fights him back. And he's probably not used to it or seen women, dominate men. Like Kayla is kind of like dominating Javi because she's a breadwinner. She makes more money than him and she has her shit together, basically, I believe, financially. So Peter's outside talking to Javi and was like, DeAndre needs you. Both of these guys are like the same age, and you know what I'm saying, and all this other stuff. And so, the doctors come and they give Kayla Kaylin and Javi like a one-on-one, basically tell him that, hey, you guys need to stop it. You need to stop arguing. You wake up fighting. What about, your son and all this other stuff? And basically Javi saying that, well, Kayla's passing all these drills. She's doing so good, but she's going to go back to normal. Basically, he's just trying to say she's fake. She's just riding the wave. And so Judge Tola, she sets in and she was like, you guys didn't learn anything I told you. You want, the courts to rule over your marriage, to rule over who has custody of the child. And also Judge Tola is just like Javi. A real man sticks around when it gets tough. He doesn't run. I was like, oh, Judge Tola went there. And Javi's just like, okay. And so we'll see but we know Javi and Kayla are in the news, in the media. I forgot for what, but they are in the media or whatever. And the one-on-one that saying that, Javi was like, I'm going to check out. And it was like, no, if you check out, you're checking out on your son. You're checking out on Lincoln. You're checking out on, having a foundation, a stable relationship, an amicable relationship with you and your son, and co-parenting. So you're being weak. And Javi kind of hears it, but then Javi gives in and he's like, okay, I'm gonna stay, but I'm only staying for Dr. V. And then we get to Peter and Amina are out talking, and Amina's basically telling Peter that, hey, you've been calling, Tyra, won't you call Tyra in front of me? And Peter says, I don't think that's fair for me to do that because, that's wrong. That'd be real ugly if I do that. So Amina just really wants Peter to be honest with her. And Peter's like, every time I'm honest with you, it pushes you away. So it feels like just lying to you is the better thing to do because, Amina's naive and maybe she wants to hear the lies when she knows he's not telling the truth so she can bring up the past. And Peter was like, I feel like it's not fair because I'm here working things out with you and I never did work out things with Tyra like this. I was like, whoa, Peter, why are you going to throw her a shot at her like that? But he's actually being honest with her, and the truth hurts. The truth does hurt sometimes, but Peter's a dog, so this is his pimping ways. He's throwing down his pimping hand, basically. And Peter's just like, I didn't give, Tyra the chance like I'm giving you the chance. Amina's like, why? Why are you giving me the chance or whatever? Why are you doing this then? And so Peter replies, because I thought you would be much easier to deal with. Basically, he's just saying that I thought you was more easy to manipulate and you won't bring up the past and throw shit up in my face. Like Tyra will hold me accountable. And with you, it's kind of, I didn't think I had to do all that much. But now I'm seeing here today that you throwing shit up in my face and you bringing up the past, and I ain't cool with that. And he was like, I just feel better lying to you. Putting in effort with you is just like wasting time. I just thought you was gonna be easy. So he just basically telling Amina that he thought that she'll be less of a headache, she'll be more self-serving to him, and right now she's not being self-serving to him. She's not making it easy for him at this time and point, which Tyra would. But Tyra and Amina both put up with the same bullshit, so they both easy, if you ask me, because who would deal with that shit? They both side bitches. And so then, to me, in my opinion, they're both side bitches. And so then we get to, Asifa. So Amina was like, yo, Amina really just want Peter to call Tyra in front of him because she knows what Peter's saying. Peter is whispering sweet nothings in Tyra's ear and telling Tyra that he loves her because we all seen it. You know what I'm saying? So then we get to the exercise of the exercise fight or flight. And they would have to paddle on a boat, and basically they have to navigate. Whoever's in front navigates by, communication, and whoever is in the rear is steering and also using the paddle, to paddle or whatever with the oar. And so with that situation, they pick the people to paddle. They pick Megan, Javi, Junior, Bobby, and Peter to paddle so they can listen to what their partner is saying and basically trying to have them have communication in their relationship. And the people that are the people that are steering, the people that are in the front of the boat basically or is their time to communicate, to steer, to tell the person how they feel, to actually speak up. And for the people that are using a paddle to paddle the boat and wear blindfold at the same time, has to listen and just basically take direction from their partner. And it seems, Megan and DeAndre, they do terrible. They fall overboard. Megan yells, screams at him, talking about, you're 6 feet, you should have been able to reach. And Julia and JJ, they do really good, but it's not good enough for the doctors because I guess the communication wasn't good, because the communication wasn't as good as it should have been in their opinion. But they did win the race, but the doctors felt like their communication was still kind of off. Like they still was just like friends, or they were like strangers working together, I guess. And so Peter and Amina, they're doing really well. Then all of a sudden, if they not fall off the boat, but the communication just lacks because Amina gets upset, she gets confused. Peter ends up cheating, taking out his blindfold, and they mentioned that Peter cheats in his real life and he cheats in his game. And also we find out that Amina doesn't know her left from her right, so that's why they lost. But it wasn't about who wins the race first, and it wasn't timed. It was about who was able to communicate well when times get hard and have patience. And the person that won that was Kaylin and Javi. They won the race because they worked very well together. They talked, they communicated, and they didn't panic, they didn't get frustrated. Javi fell off the boat. Kaylin was able to stir him to get the org, because the org fell in the water and he still had on the blindfold. They worked really well together, so they won, and that means that they get a romantic dinner, and the losing team would have to serve them. And that was Asafa and Bobby, they're losing teams. They're still stuck on the gym shit and they can't work together. And so everybody is saying that Peter is saying like, oh my God, Javi's so happy to have this dinner and excuse me, Javi's so happy to have this dinner and everything like that, and spend some romantic time with, Kaylin. But Kayla really doesn't want to spend romantic time with Javi. She's just doing it just to be doing it. And so Peter and Amina are watching. It was like, before you know it, they're going to fight. They're going to be arguing right after, Asafa and Bobby leaves from serving them. And, Asafa and Bobby, they end up enjoying that. But Bobby does throw shade. Bobby was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to serve 2 9-year-olds that pity potty and fight all day, basically. He was like, thank you, Dr. V. And so it just seems like, so Javi and Kayla, they do talk with, and they do get somewhere far with their communication that they get to, is that Javi's able to realize that he is using their son Lincoln as a pawn, as hostage, to keep Kayla close to him. And he does admit that, he uses Lincoln as a tool, and the custody and child support and taking Kaylin's property and all that other stuff to keep her next to him. So he's like, he is reverse roles. He's using the child to get back at her and to keep her in his life. So I think that was a good dinner, that Javi was able to own up to the things that he's doing and what he sees that he's doing. And Caitlin was able to express how, their relationship could be a lot better if he didn't use the child as leverage. And basically the letters that the guys had to pick up in the challenge they had to do was LUV, which stands for listen, understanding, and validation. And so Asafa, they talk about Asafa, talking out of order, helping instead of giving them, she just talks out of order, and she's only giving orders, and she's always bickering and telling people what to do. So they didn't really think that she was going to be a good, waitress. And they was like, Bobby needs to have patience with Asafa and actually listen to Asafa and hear what she has to say, and things would kind of work out. And so then we move on to, now they're getting ready to have another exercise, and the exercise is carbon copy. Basically letting these guys know that they have to loosen up. And Dr. Ish is saying, fighting is is good for relationships, but not when it turns into war. Then Peter says, I thought fighting was always bad. And so basically these couples have to act out the other couples, their behavior, so they can pay attention to how they communicate and how they treat their partners. So we have Megan and DeAndre, they imitate Javi and Caitlin, and they do a good job as that as well. No one take offense to it. And the rule of that was same team, play for the same team. They need to play for the same team, the team of Lincoln, the team of co-parenting, and maybe it might go farther. That's what Judge, Tolis had said. And so, and then we move on to, it's Caitlin and Javi's turn. And Caitlin and Javi are scared to imitate Megan or whatever. So Javi and Caitlin imitate JJ and Julia, and they do a really good job at that. They talk about the letter, how it really doesn't matter. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters, to JJ, and Julia always, takes the brunt of the situation. And then Asifa and Bobby, they imitate Peter and Amina, and they do an excellent job. And Peter was like, they was dead on point. He was like, it was eerie. They was dead on point. He was like, touche. And Amina was like, I can't believe I really act like that. I really talk like that. Yes, you do. And they talk about avoid the conflict, them avoiding the conflict, not getting the conversation all the way through, because Amina gives up because she doesn't hear what she wants to hear, and Peter gives up too as well. So that was rule 3, is actually staying in the game and not to avoid the conflict, take that conflict head on. And Peter and Amina, they imitate, I think Peter and Amina imitate I don't know who, I forgot who Peter and Amina imitates. They might imitate Asifa. I don't know who they imitate, but they imitate somebody. So anyways, moving on. Excuse me for that. So they move on. So I'm going to move on because I forgot who they imitate. I don't know if they imitate Peter and Amina. Who do they imitate? Do they imitate? I think they imitate Asifa and Bobby. I think. I don't know. I can't remember. So then moving on. After that is the rule of playing, staying on topic. So I guess Peter. So I guess they're staying on topic or whatever. And solving the problem. So I guess Peter and Amina imitates Bobby and Asifa, where Bobby and Asifa don't stay on topic. They don't stay on one point. They don't solve one problem. They move on to so many different problems and bring up the past. So I think that's what it is with that. And so then Julia and JJ, they imitate Megan and DeAndre, and Megan and Julia does an excellent job of imitating Megan. When Megan's upset, she's mad, she thinks it's just rude, but they do a great job because basically Julia points out that Megan's always talking about his money and him not making any money. And Peter and Amina feels like, it was dead on point, but, Megan gets upset. Peter noticed that, Megan's upset. She got the stank face on. She got the face like somebody's cooking chitlins in the room. Somebody put a buckle of chitlins in her face or whatever. So she's upset and she's mad. And then she Megan starts to say, I don't act like that way. I don't want just his money. I don't act like it's all about money. And she was like, well, as long as DeAndre knows that I ain't about trying to have him have money. I'm about money or whatever, and want him to make money and want his money. I make my own money. And so then Dr. V says, well, then ask DeAndre how he feels. And DeAndre says, I don't think that's the only thing you want, but it seems like it does. And it does seem like it, because you always talk about his money, talking about him to move on, him being a personal trainer, him only making $10 an hour. He should want to make more money and have a comfortable life. But Megan does also talk about that he should want more for himself. He should strive for more and things like that, and that he deserved better. And so the rule for Megan and, DeAndre was staying in the game, because when Megan questions, DeAndre, he gets scared, he gets confused, he can't keep up with her because she's too fast with it, she's too slick with it. And it was like, you got to stay in the game, you got to speak your mind, you got to tell her how you feel. But you need better communication. Stay in the game. Don't let her always win. You always give up and let her win. And so then that's when Dr. Ish says, spike the ball as the last rule. And spike the ball means to celebrate when you guys accomplish something. Celebrate when you guys get somewhere. So then we get Judge Tola. She comes in and she just points it out that, Amina, with all your demands and being selfish and being insecure in your needs and wanting to put Peter in this type of position, put him in that type of point where he has to answer to your demands to satisfy your insecurities, it's not going to work. And basically all the doctors and the judges agree, once Amina realized what's going on with her and Peter, and she finally have acceptance of the situation, that she will probably forget about Peter and leave. And Judge Tola also tells Peter he needs to make a choice and stick to it. And just telling Peter, like, you choose Amina, you choose Tara, you choose somebody, or don't choose anybody at all, but whoever you choose, stick with it, stand by what you stick, whatever choices that you make. And then they talk about then Judge Tola goes on to Julia and JJ, and their problem is communication. Communication's a two-way street, and Julia's really not communicating how she feels and how it hurts, like how the letter hurt her, how she feel insecure about the letter, and plus she needs to get trust back in her relationship with JJ, because now he damaged some things and she needs to let him know what he damaged so they can fix it. And JJ needs to listen to I guess Julia or whatever. But then we get to Judge Tola gets to Megan. It was like, how can anybody really be in a relationship with you, because your emotions are like bottled up, they're like in a bottle, like you express yourself by attacking, being mad, being angry, questioning him, and just putting him down. And also no one really wants to talk to you because they don't know if you're going to attack them, if you want to fight them or whatever. So they have fear with talking to you, and that is JJ is scared of Megan's wrath and Megan's attack, but she doesn't see it. And so Judge Tola gets on to Bobby and Asifa to tell Asifa, you can't keep repeating the same thing, going backwards. You can't keep doing it. You should be an actress. The way that you keep going on, and the way that you act and repeat the same thing about this phone number, the lady in the gym, like, that's just too much. It's like, you got to be acting like it, because you can't be serious. And basically Judge To's like, that's crazy, that's some crazy shit, And so Asifa is punished, and she has to write 100 times that I will not bring up the girl's name in the gym or the phone number. And she doesn't really want to do the exercise because she feels like it's juvenile, and she argues with Bobby about it. And so then Bobby was like, well, since you don't want to finish the exercise, I'm not sleeping in the bed with you because you don't take anything serious. It just gives Bobby a reason to move away from Asifa. And basically, instead of he's not learning anything, he could communicate with Asifa and say, why don't you want to write this? It really hurts me when you bring up this lady in the gym. Well, I'll sit right next to you until you write it, to give her support. But basically he goes, if you don't do it, I'm leaving. And he's always having demands that it's over. Like, so when he was imitated as he doesn't really care about the relationship, it was done well, because now he doesn't care to support her and help her, because if the shoe was on other feet, Asifa would be sitting there consoling Bobby to help him get through the exercise and not walk out on him and not threaten him with that she's going to leave, because we know Asifa is not going to leave. Her goal is to marry and have babies with Bobby. And so we get to the hallway, and it's Megan and DeAndre. Megan's upset with DeAndre because she feels like DeAndre doesn't have her back when someone's imitating her and it's a negative way, and he should defend her and not just agree with it. You're supposed to have my back. You my man. You this, you that. Like, how can I trust you when you can't even support me? And he was like, yo, why is it always about you? Some of that stuff is true, but he really couldn't say that because he lost the argument already, because he checked out the game, and then she checked back to being her normal self with attacking and being angry. So then they walk away being miserable as usual. And so that's when the doctors feel like something's going on with Megan and, DeAndre. They feel like something ain't right. So anyways, Bobby sleeps downstairs. Peace. I'm out. One love.